Hey guys, so today I want to tell you all about you need to know about API 510 registration and how to apply, what is the cost, using the API website, so you have a better perspective of how to apply and what is it. As you can see, I'm showing the API website, individual certification program section here, and you got the icons here which are schedule and fees or schedule and fees, certifications, apply, exam scoring, and frequently asked question. This exam also is being can be done remotely. So if you want to know more, you can click here and find out what is the requirements. It's basically the same as in person. There is just a couple of more restrictions. So once you choose the remote proctoring or remote exams, so you select a slot with Prometric, you should have a laptop or desktop which has got a camera, so they can watch you, the invigilator or the examiner, and you have to turn around your laptop so there is nothing on your table. They can see that there is nothing there. They do the ID check as in person, and you should have a valid government issued photo ID. That's can be a military ID, a driving license, or a passport, and it should be valid. Be careful that it should be valid. If it's not valid, then they just cancel the exam and it's a no-show. So you have to reapply again and pay the rescheduling fee, which is as good as being a failure. So that might take another 6 months to attend the exam and pay the $300 fees. And the restriction is that in person, they will give you a Pocket 5 calculator to do your calculation. Obviously, there is on your desktop, you can see a calculator that you can use during the exam as well. And they will give you a few green size A4 size paper and pencil, a couple of pencils and pens, so you can do your calculation. And here you cannot have access to any paper on remote exam, so you have to use the desktop calculator which they will provide you, and there is no pen and paper. You make a note of it, so that's the restriction. And during the exam, if you're doing remote, you're not allowed to leave the room. Nobody is allowed to enter the room that you are using for the exam. That can be your home or your office, and it would be the same security check. So every time you leave the room, you come back, you have to show your ID, you have to be qualified, checked again, same as in person. Okay, let's go to the certification itself. So if you click on certification, there is a drop-down window here. And the first one is API 510. And because today we are talking about API 510, we'll go through this. So you can see by default, there is an exam information here. And it says what the API 510 is for, and it helps you to do what. And it's also ANSI approved, that's American National Standard Institute. So recently API got that. And they are also got certification from ISO certification 17024 for this exam. As you go down, you can see two papers, publication effectivity sheet, which is, there are two revisions. One is up to May 2022, which is passed, and the other one is September 2022 till May 2023. So because we are in September, and if you are doing your exam this month, so you have to follow the second publication effective sheet. The same thing goes for body of knowledge. So I'll explain what is the difference between publication effective sheet and body of knowledge, but I'm going to give you an overall view. What is this? So publication, the next one, as you can see, is a 7.5 hour exam. This includes 2 hours, 45 minutes for closed book, 45-minute break, and 3 hours, 45 minutes for open book. Total of 170 question, 140 are scored, remaining are pre-test question. And they are not scored, and they are shuffled together. So you have to do the all 170 because you don't know which one is scored and which one is not. So on average, you got 1.5 minutes for closed book per question, and you got 3 minutes 45 seconds on open book. That means you should have maintain a constant pace for answering question. That is 40 question per hour for closed book and 16 question per hour for open book to do it just on time. But obviously, you need to be a bit faster because you want to review the questions. Some of them you flagged it off, and you want to have a second thought about that. You might no negative marking, so answer all the question, and at the end click on the review button, so you see that all questions are answered. Any question unanswered, they will be unticked. There is a pre-test question, frequently asked questions, so you can read this. This is useful to know if you have any queries. You can understand how the exam is held. There is an exam tutorial that you also will see during the exam, and we'll go through this. It's better to look at this before the exam because there's a 10 minutes allowance there, and or you end it earlier. The exam tutorial, it practically tells you how the buttons work and what facility it's got, and we'll go through this one by one. But first, let's go to schedule and fees. So this exam is done 3 times a year. So you see here there is 2022. So if you look at this exam, it's the first one was this year was on January 5-10, and the second one was on May to June 3, May 13. So you can see there is a 3 weeks window. You can select. Once you select the window during your create an account, you pay the fees. And then you provide 2 references. They will. It should be a company email for references, and the references would once they verify your experience, the API will send you an email authorization, and then you can select a slot within these windows that you have selected. So during the application, you need to select a slot, and one of these is slots. So this slot has passed, and this one is the next slot remaining is September 9 to 30th, 2022, and the deadline was 8 July, so this is also passed. And so if you go to 2023, you can see that the same slots are here, slightly different from, so the next one possibly you can do is from January 6 to 27. So you have to select this slot. And then once you get the email authorization, you can specify the date, time slot with the Prometric. And Prometric is subcontracted by API to do the exam on behalf of API. And it can be, as I said, in person. You go to select a Prometric test center closest to your place of work or home, or you choose the remote proctoring where you can do from the comfort of your office or home. As you can see here, the deadline is November 4. So by November 4, you should get this. But we suggest you, if you want to attend this exam, you can you do right now or as early as possible. So don't wait for the application deadline because Prometric works on first come, first served basis. Previously, it was a 2 weeks window and people had difficulty. Now they increase it to 3 weeks, and so people can have able to select a slot with Prometric. And so if for any reason you're too late for selecting your slots and you cannot find near your place, it might be in some other countries and you cannot go there, or some another city, then that is as good as failure. That means you have to reschedule, pay the fee and $300, and it's as good as failure. So you better get the API authorization email and apply for it well before this deadline. Now, if you want to, you can also select, say, right now for June 2nd, or you can select the next slot, which is September 8 to 29. Okay, so but these are the deadlines. Now let's see what are the fees. For the core exam, API 510 being one of them, the fee is $940. And as you can see, there are two fees, non-member fee and member fee. Now, API does not give individual membership, so that means your company should be a member of the API. Not many companies are. There are probably 4,000 or 5,000 companies in the world who are API member. So if your company is not an API member, yourself as an employee have to pay the full fee. And most of people end up paying the full fee. And so this is the initial certification. Once you pass the exam, every 3 years you have to recertify, and you pay $730 for recertification, and showing that 20% of the time you have been working as an API inspector, and provide references. There is no exam, but after 6 years you need to have a quiz, which is 25 questions, and you can pose it up to 3 times, and you can do it within 4 hours. If you fail once the quiz, you can do it once again. If you fail the second time, you have to do the initial exam, pay the full fees. For rescheduling, for any reason, if you cannot attend the exam within the slot, if you don't show up during the exam, if you don't have a proper ID card, which is a valid government photo ID, if it's not valid or anything, and you're refused entry, it's called as a no-show, then you have to pay, reschedule it and pay $300. There is a late application fee in case this is for when you want to recertify yourself, and you can do it up to 90 days before the expiry date and up to 90 days after the expiry date, but subject to a late application fee of $150. So these are the fees. Now, let's go to, you can click on this button and start applying, which means it will take you that which one you want to apply. You click on this, it's very easy to go, and then you create a account, and then you upload your credentials for as a prerequisite for the certifications. Most of them, they need a prerequisite in terms of experience and qualifications. You provide 2 references, you pay the fees, they will contact the references. Always better to sit with your references and tell them, coordinate with them, and it just take a minute to verify your experience. And then once you receive email authorization, you can use that email authorization and the link to Prometric to select the slot and the location. And if it's remote, then you can use remote. So you can, there is a lot of good information about exam and scoring, how is it done here. And then let's go to certification, because this is where there's lots of good information here. So if we, let's see what will happen during the exam. So you have this exam tutorial that you will see just before the exam. It's a 10 minutes tutorial, and that tell you what are the, how the buttons work, what is it, 170 questions, and you have 390 minutes in total, plus 45 minutes break. Now remember, when you do the first open book happens, and then you have the 45 minutes break. And then after 45 minutes break, you can go for lunch and come back and do the open book, which is 3 hours, 45 minutes. So in total is 6.5 hours plus 45 minutes, which is almost 7.5 hours exam. Now, if you go for a break and for any reason you are late, this open book starts automatically after 45 minutes break. So you be careful that you come back before the 45 minutes break expires, because that's coming off your time. Now, for any time you go to toilet or fill up your water bottle for any reason, you need to check out, tell the invigilator, and then come back and check in and go through the security again, identification check. So all is coming off your time, or if you want to make any comments on any question. Okay, so try to use your time wisely, and try to come back to the desk 4 or 5 minutes before your 45-minute break starts, because this is going to automatically start your open book after the break, regardless whether you are present at your desk or not. So this is how you see the questions. There is this question, like here you're attempting number 1, and this is the time remaining. It shows on the top and which question you're attending. And if it's there's a long question, it says click the button to continue or go down, and you can do next question, and you can mark it and go to the next question and continue the test, or go jump between questions. And here you can just click this and finish it. So you should see your name here, right? You should see the time here, and you should see the question like this. Okay, and there is a limited translation for Chinese or other languages, but in case you do not, your English is not your first language. So this is showing the time remaining. So you be careful that you answer all questions before the time lapses, and because there is no negative marking, so make sure you answer all the questions. And if there is a long question, it says this page requires scrolling, so you need to go down and see the whole question. And if you want to use a calculator, there is an icon there. You can use the click on this, and you do your calculation on the calculator, and then you can remove it by clicking the X button. So you can navigate through the course, the exam, from one question to another question. Okay, as I said before. And if there is a multi-choice, you can, once you click on that, left click, and that means you have selected the answer. If you do a right click on that answer, you want to strike it off, so you want to concentrate on other questions. Okay, and there is no multiple choice normally, so and there is most of the time you haven't seen any drag and drop here like this. Now flagging question, it's green, so if you click on this, it turns red if you want to flag off question, and then any question in doubt, you can flag it off, and then just review the flagged off question at the end if you want to change your things. There are other options like highlighting things, but it's not very useful in my opinion, but it might, if you want to sort of highlight it. So just click on this and drag it, and then it will highlight that text if you want to zoom in, sort of. And as I said, striking it off, do the right click on the question, and it strikes it off, as you see here. Okay, so these arrows up, down, and then the PDF viewer, I'll show you how this is. So if you click on the PDF viewer, you'll see all the open book thing, and if you click on that, you see the list here. Okay, the table of contents, so you can go and click on that if you know where to have to go. So here you need to have a good navigation skill, so you should know where you to look for between all this that they've provided you, the reference documents. And then once you click on that, you need to also know which section you have to go in. Yeah, so I would advise you practice this with the actual PDF version, and so in the exam you're not short of time. You can make a comment here, but it's coming off your time for any questions, and that's it. Pretty much sums it up. And at the end, You can filter it by attempted, unattempted. So if you have flagged it off, this shows that you flagged it off. You can only check the flagged off question or all the questions. So anything in green means you have answered it. Anything in black means you haven't answered it. You need to answer it. No negative marking, so please answer all. And then at the end, you say, yeah, I want to, you can say finish section, and then it again asks you that once again, if you want to finish this section. So just to make sure that you have not clicked it by accident, because once you click the second time, then the exam finishes for you ahead of the time. Or when the time runs out, it automatically, your exam is deemed completed. Okay. Now, the other thing I wanted to tell you is the publication effectivity sheet. Publication effectivity sheet, you can see here, anything in red is will be the revised one compared to the last version. So you need to study API 571. I tell you which section you have to study. Then 572, the entire document, 576, 577. Now here you see the red, there is a change in revision, so it is showing in red. And then 77, 78, ASME section 5, only article 1, 2, 6, 7, and 23. ASME section 8, introduction, UG, general requirements, welding requirements, carbon steel, and appendices 1 to 6, 8, and 12. And section 9, only for welding. And and then this is a new revision came in, applicable from next exam, from September exam and onwards, and it's PCC2, repair of pressure equipment and piping. Okay, so this is the publication effective sheet, tells you which revision of which reference documents and recommended practice and codes and standards you have to study. Now, what is the body of knowledge is that practically also tells you the list, gives you the list without revision, but tells you they got very useful information, and they tell you, so they give you the reference list without revision, and then they come by here and they say, okay, what you expected to know. For example, thickness measurement, inspection interval, vessel integrity, and they also refer to the code or the recommended practice. So anything here that is being noted, you read it twice, okay? And joint efficiency, you should know. Static head, you should know. And it tells you in detail what you should know from static head or joint efficiency or internal pressure. And external pressure, look, you got to know UG28. What is it all about? Not too much. It says this thing will not be required to perform external calculation. Pressure testing, UG, these are from ASPE section 8, so you should know. Impact testing and weld size, so UW. Nozzle reinforcement, you should not know. You do not know this, but you just need to know the key concept of reinforcement. Okay, you do not need to know the detailed version like a design engineer. And then weld procedure review, they will give you one simple WPS, and most of the questions are very basic, and there will be one welding procedure, and it tell you, what it is. So only this SMAW, GTA, or this are used. That the 4 procedures, welding process, are used, and then the general requirement, welding requirements, typical joints definition, weld size, etc. And then you come back to API 577. You should do overall knowledge of that. Welding inspection, non-destructive examination, ASME section 5. So as you can see here on all articles, you should know the scope, responsibilities, calibration, definition. And again, you can see here that the scope, type, allowable density on RT, records, location markers, and again the procedure and records. So the very basic of RT, UT, MT, PT, VT you should know, magnetic particle, Article 7, and then there would be some practical questions specific about organization, certification requirements, all this, give you a knowledge of overall knowledge of these topics. And about the pressure vessel inspection code, as you can see, API 570, you should know the entire document. API 571, damage mechanism, you only need to know about this very basic damage mechanisms and corrosions. And 572, 76, 77, 78, they say entire document subject to testing. So that we'll tell you, highlighted in our e-learning course, what is required. And then PCC2, there are only these articles you need to know. So I think I covered everything. If you have any question, you can always come to our website and read our first and second module for free, and also try our quizzes. Okay, so you can go to our courses, API ICP preparatory course. We have also issued other videos about this. You can read our first and second module for free. This course got 3 options: mock exam package, premium mock exam, which is mock exam plus highlights of publication effectivity sheet, and full course, which is all the lessons plus premium mock exam. And this has got these 60 CPD credit hours accredited, and it comes with 8 hours of video, 208 lectures, 1300 questions, 3500 flashcards, pass first time or free renewal, 120 days for 24/7 course access. And you can see the course content here and study first and second module for free, or try our free quiz. Thank you.